Diolch yn fawr a prynhawn da, Cynhadledd. Wel, mae'n braf i ymdeimlo ar egni sydd yn ein cynhadledd ni y penwythnos hwn yn diwe. Mae'r awch yna i wneud gwahaniaeth, yr angerdd dros sicrhau newid, newid gwirioneddol i Gymru, yw deimlo yn diwe. Mae'n deimlad cyffroes, mae'n llenwi fi â gobaith. Achos dwi'n eistedd yna, yn y siambr, yn y Senedd, wythnos ar ôl wythnos, yn gwrando ar weinidog ar ôl gweinidog. Wel, mae'n anodd cadw trac a dweud y gwir yn diwedd dyddiau yma. Tawr un hen wynebau sy'n cylchdroi ac yn cylchdroi ers degawdau, rwy'n eistedd yna yn gwrando ar lafur yng Nghymru yn addo y byddan nhw yn cyflawni dros ein cenedl. Ond dyn nhw ddim. Ac mae gweinidog cyflawni i gael nawr, cofiwch. Gan fod hyd yn oed y Luned Morgan wedi gweld yr angen am rywun i atgoffa'r Llywodraeth bod y gweinidogion angen cyflawni. Ond mae'n druenus, a dweud y gwir. Mae'n druenus, ond mae'n destun pryder. Ac yn fwy na dim, yn destun rhwystredigaeth i ni sydd yn gwybod y gall datganoli, gyflawni gymaint mwy i bobl Cymru, ac y gallai annibyniaeth gyflawni gymaint mwy eto. Achos rwy'n eistedd yna, yn gwrando ar y geiriau twym, yr air poeth, ar yr addewidion i gyflawni ar yr hyn sy'n hanfodol i sicrhau llewyrch a thegwch i bobl Cymru, addewidion gwag. Yr un addewidion ers 5 mlynedd ar hugen. Rwy'n eistedd yna yn gwrando ar addewidion am wella safonau addysg, tra bod ysgolion yn wynebu toriadau a thargedau i recriwtio athrawon yn cael eu colli flwyddyn ar ôl blwyddyn. Rwy'n eistedd yna yn gwrando ar y Luned Morgan, yn rhestru yr holl wariant sy'n mynd ar daclo tlodi plant, tra bod hi a'i Llywodraeth yn gwrthod pwyso ar Keir Starmer a Rachel Reeves i gymryd y cam allai dynnu degau ar filoedd o blant Cymru mas o tlodi drwy sgrapio'r cap ar fuddioliadau ar terfyn 2 blentyn. A phan nes i holi y Luned Morgan a fyddai'n sefyll lan dros blant Cymru, dwedodd nad i job hi oedd hynny. Ac os nag o'n i'n hoffi beth oedd Llywodraeth Lafur Starmer yn ei wneud, dylen ni sgrennu at fy aelod seneddol. Dyw tlodi ddim yn rhywbeth ddylen ni dderbyn fel rhan anochel o fywyd Cymru. Dyle banciau bwyd ddim fod yn rhan normal o'n cymunedau. Y prif rwystyr i wneud cynnydd ar fynd i'r afel a thlodi plant yng Nghymru yw penderfyniadau y gwleidyddion yn Llundain, yn San Steffan ac yng Nghaerdydd sy'n dalw yn y grym. Mae Llywodraeth Cymru wedi penderfynu peidio a gosod targedau tlodi plant statudol. Maen nhw wedi penderfynu peidio a galw ar Lywodraeth Lafur San Steffan i gael gwared ar y cap 2 blentyn. Maen nhw wedi penderfynu peidio a blaenoriaethu bwyd o pob plentyn o deuluoedd yn cwmisel yn ein ysgolion uwchradd. Wedi penderfynu peidio a sicrhau bod y plant tlotaf yn cael ei bwydo yn ystod gwyliau ysgol. A'r canlyniad, cair drws i ddyfodol llywyrchus yn glep yn wyneb gymaint o'n plant. Gan nid yn unig eu hamddifadu nhw o'i cyfleon, ond hefyd amddifadu ein cenedl o'i doniau. And health and social care, well, where do I start? The political hits are really easy and sadly easy for us when we face the Welsh Government across the benches in the Senedd. But the consequences of their mismanagement are hitting people so hard, and it's unacceptable. I sit there listening to nostalgic paeans to Aneurin Bevan and claims that the NHS is secure in their hands, while our health boards are millions of pounds in deficit. And Plaid Cymru's call for over a decade that the doctors and nurses we need to be trained and given the tools to give the level of care they want have been ignored. And a destabilising recruitment and retention crisis is the result. Because there was no change in July, whatever the slogans and the placards said, the only real change we have felt in Wales since that election was that the people of Ynys Môn now have a true champion for them in Westminster in the inspirational Llynos Medi, and the people of Cyfyrddin have a true force of nature at their side in Ann Davies. Mae y wir yn codi calon yn diwe I weld y ddwy fenyw anhygoel yna wrth ei gwaith gyda Ben a Liz yn San Steffan. Because no, the air in Wales is full of nothing but broken promises from Labour. Broken promises that the days of chronic underfunding for our councils and public services would be over. Broken promises to the thousands of people in Port Talbot and its surrounding communities that their jobs would be saved, that they would not be thrown on the scrap heap, that a fair transition to greener steel was possible. And broken promises to the children who are growing up in poverty, that the cruel austerity measures which punishes them for the size of their family would be history along with the Tories. And this winter will be even colder than the last one, for the 500,000 Welsh pensioners who will lose the winter fuel payment, putting their health at risk. Yes, the self-serving Tories stripped our public services to the bone, trashed the economy, undermined devolution, stirred up division and hatred in our communities, turned their backs on those who needed the most support. But now we have a Labour government who appoints a Downing Street cast-off as an envoy to Wales, who refuse to reverse Tory cuts and impose some of their own, who are still starving Wales of the funding it's entitled to. Plaid's being a bit hard on Labour, I've heard some say. We live at a time when the right is ascendant, the xenophobic, anti-immigrant, anti-European right at that. So the parties of the centre and the left need to work together. Well, I accept that principle. And we have, of course, in the best interest of the people of Wales. Indeed, where Labour do have something to shout about, free school meals for all primary children, for instance, well, it was us, Plaid Cymru, who delivered that against continual Labour resistance, who achieved it through cooperation and through campaigning. But imagine what we could do if we were in power. Because that's what I do when I'm sitting there, in that chamber, in the Senedd. When I see a Labour government out of steam, out of ideas, and out of time, rolling back on progressive policies, such as making council tax fairer, rolling over when Starmer says no to giving us the powers we need on policing, justice, gender equality, I could go on and on. But let's instead think about what real change means, what it looks like. There will soon be another election upon us, and we have to be out in the streets, making our case, making our voices heard for real change, for change that will bring hope to the communities all over Wales, from Pontardawe to Pen y Graig, from Rhos Llanechrigog to Rhymney, from Caerdydd to Cwmbran. We know what we'll get from reform: immigration, immigration, immigration. A politics that appeals to people's basest instincts, a politics that divides. Historians of the future, I think, will be astonished by the extent to which the Conservative Party has followed the far-right's rhetoric, and the way Keir Starmer, while distancing Labour from the right's methods and rhetoric around immigration, won't challenge their underlying position. Politics is about making the case, persuading people of looking at things in another way. And that conference is the strength we have in Plaid Cymru. We know there is an alternative and we won't let them divide us. Ours is a politics of bringing people together and sharing a vision. Well, we can do that with Labour, some will say. I don't think so. I think so even less, having sat in the Senedd lately. Because in the face of the proven unfairness of the way we're funded, in the face of the obvious injustice of HS2, in the face of the thousands of job losses in our steelworks, and in the face of an anti-European right that run roughshod over our history and interests as a people, I'm tired of having to listen to a Welsh government that is too embarrassed, too weak to make the case for Wales. I'm tired of the easy, lazy slogans that all unionist parties throw at anyone who believes in an independent future for our nation. Welsh independence means economic disaster, means separation, means closing our doors to the world. And instead of standing up and saying, well, excuse me, you British, centralist, elitist, anti-devolution, anti-democratic, anti-Welsh language, pro-status quo, longing for a Britain that no longer exists, xenophobe. We have a government. We have a government that cowers in the corner and says, please don't hurt me. We'll behave. We won't make a fuss. Those days, frodyr a chwiorydd, are surely over. Let's have a real discussion. Let's have a real choice. Let's have a real change. And some of you who love a certain American political drama will know where the inspiration from those last lines came from. We have another vision for Wales and for Wales's future. It's bold, it's clear, byddwn yn buddsoddi yn ein plant a'n pobl ifanc. I'w hatal rhag gael ei creithio gan tlodi. I sicrhau ei bod yn cael y dechrau gorau mewn bywyd, drwy greu system gofal plant o ansawdd uchel, fforddiadwy, drwy sicrhau bod ein hysgolion a'n colegau ganddyn nhw'r adnoddau i'w cefnogi, i greu dyfodol llywyrchus i'w hunain ac i gyfrannu at dyfodol llywyrchus i'n cenedl. Byddwn yn sicrhau tegwch. Fel bod pob un o'n cymoedd a'n cymunedau gwledig yn cael ei gwasanaethu gan drafnidiaeth gyhoeddus, reolaidd, fforddiadwy, fel bod canol trefi llywyrchus dros Gymru yn fywiog, ble mae'n busnesau lleol yn cael ei cefnogi, a'n cymunedau'n elwan llawn o'r ynni glân adnewyddol sy'n cael ei gynhyrchu ynddynt. Byddwn yn sicrhau yr hawl i wasanaethau sylfaenol, yr hawl i gartre fforddiadwy, yr hawl i gyfiawnder economaidd, nid cadw i drysio tyllau yn y rhwyd diogelwch. Rwy wedi blino ar wylio Llywodraeth Flynyddol. Mae'n amser i greu y newid, rydyn ni gyd angen i weld, ac yn awchu i weld, drwy gynnig polisïau sydd â buddiannau pobl Cymru wrth ei gwraidd, anghenion ein cymunedau ym mhob rhan o Gymru, lles ein plant, a thegwch i'n cenedl. Diolch yn fawr.